meters, 20 meters, 17 meters, standing by for touchdown. Touchdown confirmed. Touchdown confirmed.
NASA! $1.8 trillion NASA mugs. That is about the average distance that Mars is from the Sun, 141 million miles. But when Mars is at its closest point to Earth, it is only about 40 million miles away. A typical IMAX screen is about 70 feet across. So even at the closest point to Earth, Mars is still over 3 billion IMAX screens away. In 1610, Galileo Galilei discovered Mars, and 355 years later, NASA sent the first craft to perform a flyby of the red planet. That craft was Mariner 4 during mid-July of 1965. Yeah, that 1965. The first orbiter sent to the red planet was Mariner 9, which arrived 6 years later on November 14th, 1971. The Mars 2 program was a Soviet attempt to reach the surface of Mars. It ended on November 27th, 1971, when it crashed into the surface. But failed Mars missions are a lot more common than you might think. So far, 27 missions have been failures, and 6 of those failures have been NASA attempts. The first mission to reach the surface successfully was the Mars 3 program, but once it landed, the mission only lasted about 20 seconds because the rover stopped sending information back. In other words, the Tusken Raiders got to it. It did manage to send one picture back, which is why it deserves 2 thumbs up. Interpret it as you will. Let's take a look at a couple space milestones. We landed a rover on the moon successfully just 1 year after we ourselves first landed on it. And only 1 year after that, we successfully landed a rover on the red planet. Not too shabby. Yeah, we have a moon. But did you know Mars has 2 moons, Phobos and Deimos? The larger of the two, Phobos, has a diameter of 14 miles. The longest ship humans have ever built was over 1,500 feet in length. It was called the Sea-Wise Giant, and 49 of them could fit across the diameter of Phobos. The diameter of Mars is more pleasing to look at. Jack loves this tennis ball, and I bet he would go bonkers if he had more. But how many tennis balls across is Mars? The standard size of a tennis ball is 2.5 inches, so that means you would need 106 million tennis balls to make it across the diameter of Mars. Mars is roughly 4.6 billion years old. That is when it was estimated to have been formed. Earth is most likely around the same age, if not a little younger. If I had been living on Mars my entire life, on the day of this video's upload, I would be 10 years old. Wait, what? Hear me out. Mars has an orbital period of 687 days. In other words, a year on Mars, and I am exactly 7,330 days old. As bizarre as it sounds to have another age, it doesn't change how long I've been alive, so I will still have the same amount of time left to explore the red planet.
But that sounds hard.
And it should! The surface area of the 4th planet from the Sun is 14 billion times larger than the surface area of your average Walmart. But I'm assuming you know yourself a little bit better than a superstore. Your skin has a surface area of about 22 feet, which means the surface of Mars has an area 780 trillion times larger than you do. That's a lot of exploring. It would definitely be easier in some kind of vehicle, like the rovers astronauts used on the moon. It just so happens NASA might have your answer. Well, at least they have a concept. This vehicle has a lab in the back and could potentially travel up to 70 miles an hour. It weighs 5,000 pounds and is the size of a pickup truck. It was also featured on Daily Dose of Internet, so go check them out. If you are going to be going back to Mars often, it might be beneficial to have, in the loosest possible terms, a halfway point. The Lunar Orbiting Platform Gateway is a space station the scientists at NASA want to get orbiting around the moon. The first plans we have for this lunar laboratory begin in the year 2022. That's when we are sending out the first piece to where it needs to be. This station will be much smaller than the International Space Station is, and once the gears get moving, follow-up missions will be scheduled. Completion is estimated to be in the mid-2020s. Although there aren't any bases on Mars for you to relax in quite yet, SpaceX is certainly working on it. Elon Musk has a plan to send a bunch of material to Mars over the next few years, and then send a crew there to assemble it into a base. 2022 is the year that Elon Musk's dream begins to take shape. That is when he plans to send the first batch of cargo to Mars, and the next mission after that will take place in 2024 and include both cargo and crew. The rocket that Elon Musk plans on using for trips to Mars is called the Big Falcon rocket, and it can carry 100 tons worth of supplies. Not to mention, it's almost 400 feet tall. An approach to Mars that someone would be silly not to mention is to terraform it. Terraforming is the process of changing a planetary body to be able to support human life. But that process could take a while, and some estimates, like Stanford University's William Muck says, it could take as little as 500 days. Other estimates place the time at 100,000 years. Others say 1,000,000 years. NASA says it just can't be done with our current technology. But believe it or not, Elon Musk is working through the terraforming issue by considering nuking Mars. But changing the environment of another planet is a mission still on the drawing board. To see a different Mars, we're going to have to rewind the clock 3.5 billion years. That is when scientists believed that oceans were a prominent feature on the Martian surface. A few minutes exploring the Mars extension of Google Earth reveals some features you may or may not recognize here on Earth. Take a look. Still be traces of water frozen at the Martian poles, or located just beneath the surface. In 2012, NASA's Curiosity rover found evidence to suggest that the planet was once covered in water. Earlier this year, it was announced that just beneath the surface of the Martian South Pole, there may be a lake. The European Space Agency's Mars Express craft discovered what may be a 12-mile-wide body of water just beneath the surface. November 26th, last Monday, NASA's InSight lander successfully made it to the Red Planet. InSight's mission is to get some information about the interior of Mars. That will help us understand the formation of the planet, the seismic activity of it, and the effect of meteorite impacts. For the next few months, the instruments on board will be preparing for use. Here are the pictures InSight has sent back so far. In the upcoming years, NASA has a lot up its sleeve. In February of 2021, we have the Mars 2020 rover to look forward to, which will do its best to make sense of the past and present biology on Mars. It will be landing in this crater, where NASA believes at one point or another may have been habitable for life. The rover itself is the size of a car, and NASA is sending a small helicopter with it. In 2021, the European Space Agency will be launching the second stage of its ExoMars program with this organization called the ExoMars rover. Its mission will be to explore the surface for traces of past life. Samples will be collected and analyzed, seeking out organic molecules in the soil. Around 2022, the Indian Space Research Organization will be sending an orbiter to the Red Planet to study the makeup of the atmosphere, since everyone else is so eager to play in the sand. It's important to come prepared to this planetary sandbox. Mars is notorious for its dust storms, some of which can grow to be larger than North America, and the clouds of dust can be around 40 miles high. Know that the most powerful tool for learning is interest. Let me know what you are interested in. Maybe I'll make a video about it.